Welcome back to Golf and Athletics. So a couple of days ago, I was scrolling through Instagram and I came across a guy named Josh. And he was, Josh is the founder, I believe he's the founder, don't quote me on that, but the founder of Fore Fitness Golf in City of Industry. And Josh is a golf fitness expert. He trains LPGA Tour players. I believe he has at least 5 or 6 clients that are LPGA. Again, don't quote me on that. But I've seen a couple of his workouts. They look awesome. What he's doing with the Fore Fitness movement and kind of like the overall general idea of where I think he's going with it seems really good. And so I reached out to him and I said, hey man, like, I love your content. I love what you're about. You know, we obviously have similar interests. So, would you like to come onto the podcast? And he said, absolutely. So, he agreed to do the podcast. And then he said, hey, by the way, I am going to be filming for my fitness app. And I'd like you to be the demonstration person that I put through a workout. And I said, heck yeah, dude. Like, I'm always down for a good workout. And so, we're ready to rock and roll, man. I'm super excited. We're going to do the podcast. We're going to get a workout in. We might even be able to hit some balls while we're down there because Josh, I believe he has a launch simulator in his gym. So, I'm super excited to go down there and meet these guys, meet Josh and whoever else is there with him working in the facility. It's going to be an awesome trip. I'm jazzed. So, but before, I was like, man, feeling pretty hungry. I got a long time until we do the podcast, and I wanted to get some fuel. So I stopped at my favorite. Can you guys guess what it is? Yeah, it's In-N-Out. I got a little double with cheese. No onions today because I don't want to be breathing on Josh. And some French fries and some ketchup. And yeah, I had to get something to eat. And then I'm gonna actually go get my hair cut right now. Hop on the road and get down there, and probably maybe even get there a little bit early. So super excited, you guys. Follow me on this little trip we got going on, and I'll take you on the road. So stay tuned, and I'll show you guys what happens in the near future. Ready, set. This is so awkward sometimes. Let's go. Just finished getting my hair cut at the Country Cuts in Ontario. They do a half on the edges and then a 1 up the sides. Half on the edges, 1 up the sides, and then just a little style. Yeah, so if you guys are in the area and if you guys are in Ontario and you need your haircut, go see my friends over at the Country Cuts Barbershop. They're awesome. We're going to go to City of Industry right now and work out with Josh. Super excited. Let's get it. Welcome back to the Golf and Athletics Podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Haydes. Today we have Josh from Fore Fitness in the house. Josh, welcome onto the show.
Hey, thank you for having me, man. I'm really excited to be here, and I'm super excited to have you on our app platform as well. So we're gonna do a little collaboration today. It's gonna be fun, man.
I am so stoked about this little collaboration we have going on here. I saw you on Instagram a while back. And I saw that you were doing the golf fitness stuff. Mm-hmm. And then once I made the decision to do the podcast, I was like, I need to get this guy on my podcast. And I reached out to you, and thank you for coming onto the show, man. I'm really excited about it.
No, it's cool, man. I think it's going to be fun. We'll have a good time right now.
So Josh, if you can tell us a little bit about your backstory.
we obviously know your name is Josh. Where did you come from? What was childhood like? What got you into golf? And then what got you into golf fitness specifically?
Oh man, so my backstory is a little different than what most people are going to tell you. I mean, most people in the golf industry play golf, right? Growing up. So actually, I played tennis.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was really big into tennis. I grew up playing since I was like 5-6 years old.
Okay.
And since then, my cousin was big into golf. He played in high school, and so we would play for fun. I'd go out and hit some balls with him. Just go to the range, be a range rat.
Mm-hmm.
And started picking it up, and we got more and more competitive. And being in tennis and it's very competitive. So I've always been in athletics, playing tennis, soccer. I was a runner, so just always in athletics. It's always been in my blood, to be competitive. So him kicking my butt all the time really pissed me off. So I got better. I was like, okay, I gotta get better, man. So I started going to the range more without him, and practicing more and more, and just got better at it, and fell in love with the game. So I ended up going, playing. I didn't play golf in college. I played tennis. That was, like I said, my main sport growing up. So in college, I went to UC Riverside, played college tennis there. Was a bio major, and ended up, falling in love with golf, man. And my goal was always to be in some sort of medical direction. So going into college, I was like, okay, I got to be in a medical pathway. So I originally wanted to be an MD.
Okay.
So I was a neuroscience major at first. I really loved the brain and how it, nervous system and how it reacted, and studied that for a while, and then got to the MCATs, and the MCATs scared the snot out of me. So I backed off of that and was like, okay, I got to figure something else out. I was like, okay, what's still in medical but still geared towards sports? And that's what brought me to physical therapy, man. So got into physical therapy assistant school. Studied that for a while, and actually met my business partner doing that. So I worked at a clinic in Arcadia, and I was interning there for a while. He was my mentor, and from there got into physical therapy and rehabbing sports injuries. AC, your typical, your ACL tears, shoulder injuries, things like that. And at that point, that's like 3 years after I was doing that, I got bored, man. No joke, I got bored. So it was very
bored fixing people.
Yeah, man. It was just it was the same monotonous thing over and over again. Like, okay, here's your protocol for ACLs. Here's where we got to follow. And here's our protocols for knee replacements. Here's where we got to follow. So there was no being creative. Like my mind is I want to be something in sports specific. My goal, going into physical therapy, was to get onto a team somewhere, But it's very hard, man. Those guys just don't retire; they don't leave. So you end up being at a clinic, an outpatient clinic, and you're stuck, So I came up with the idea of golf fitness. I came across TPI, got TPI certified, and originally the plan was for it to just be a small, little niche program out of the clinic there. Started working with a couple golfers there. Ended up getting a couple of college players. That I met, from USC actually. So started working with them, and eventually it got so big that I thought to myself, you know what? This is more than just a program. This can be a business, and just grew it out of that, man. And I told my business partner the next day after I made that decision. I told my wife, and my business partner was like, you know what? You're right, man. I'm coming with you. So my business partner is Ken Mangle. He's a physical therapist, and he also is doing what we're doing. We love to be creative and work with athletes, and got out of the physical therapy world, out of the insurance world, and now we just work purely with athletes, man. So it's fun.
And so when in working with athletes now, what type of athlete do you specifically work? What's your niche market?
All golfers, man.
Golfers.
Yeah, Fore Fitness golf performance. That's what we are, man. So we just work purely with golfers. I do have a few tennis players since I'm in the tennis world, So I do know a few tennis coaches who refer some athletes to us as well.
Okay.
But our primary niche is golf, man, and that's what it is. So it's. Yeah, so we work with, all golfers, but our main niche is definitely professional golfers and high-level junior golfers. So we train, several of the top. We have, 3 to 4 of top 5 AJGA players. who work with us. We work with Rose Zhang, who's #1 in the nation. I work with Lizette Salas. I've been working with her for a few years now. This will be our 3rd season coming up. Mo Martin, just tons of players, man. So have about like 9 or 10 LPGA players that I work with, and a couple guys on the PGA Tour as well that have come in and out. So it's been fun, man. Yeah.
Like who, if you don't mind me asking?
There's a couple of them don't really like to share the team names, but
Okay.
but I do work with Lee Haotong. He's one guy that kind of comes in and out when he's in the area. So I work mostly with him on the rehab recovery side of things.
Okay.
A couple guys out in Vegas, I'll just say that.
Okay. All right. All right. So, okay. So you grew up playing tennis. Tennis was your main thing. You became really passionate about golf later in life. What was so? Were you born and raised in California?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was born actually not too far from here, man. In Diamond Bar. So grew up in Diamond Bar. Went to Diamond Bar High School. Yeah. So I've always been a California kid.
What year did you graduate high school?
2004. Yes,
We graduated the same year.
No way.
Yeah,
Nice, man.
That's funny. Okay, so you're 33?
33, yeah.
Okay.
April 10th, my birthday, so 34 coming up pretty soon.
Okay, yeah. Dang, that's crazy. So I was 1 year behind, so
Okay.
I'm 34, gonna be 35.
Okay, nice,
That's
nice.
crazy. We graduated the same year.
Yeah, man.
So when you were going through high school, what was other than playing tennis? Can you tell me a little bit about like your upbringing in high school? Like what was family like? Did you have a bunch of siblings? Did you have a large family, small family? What did you guys like to do as a family?
That's a good question. It's kind of a small, I would say small but big family. I'm actually half Mexican, believe it or not.
Okay.
So I have half of my family lives in Mexico City.
Okay.
And that's my big family. Yeah, you know how it is. And that's my cousins. Everyone still lives there. So like we go and visit every now and then. My mom's side is from here, so I lived with my grandparents in their house, and they had a pretty big house here in Walnut. So my dad is a musician, so he travels quite a bit. So
Oh wow.
yeah, so
That must be where you get your creative mind from.
I guess so, yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Although I can't play a musical instrument, that's for damn sure. So
Yeah, but you're probably picking up on that, like that thrive for creativity in whatever
For
it is
sure.
that you are an expert in.
exactly,
Right?
yeah, in your niche, right?
Yeah.
So definitely more on the athletic side. I definitely picked up a lot of creativity on that side of things. But yeah, no. So my mom is from here, and my grandparents are from here, so we live close by here in Diamond Bar and Walnut area. But yeah, I have one sibling, younger brother, who's 4 years younger than me.
Okay.
Yeah, like I said, my mom was pretty much a full-time mom, and my dad traveled quite a bit, so he was in and out quite a bit, but he was the guy that really pushed me to sports. Like he was very competitive also himself,
Mm-hmm.
and we always had a lot of battles on the tennis court, which was fun. So several times he broke many rackets, so I'm sure he'll listen to this and laugh. But yeah, so we had some good battles, and I think that's where my competitiveness came from, and that's why I always wanted to beat my cousin so badly in golf too. So
Yeah,
So,
lots
yeah.
of passion.
lots of passion. But my brother didn't play sports. He was more on the scholastic side of things, and he got into accounting and yada yada. So yeah, so we went different pathways, and none of us took the music route.
Okay.
Well, my whole side, my dad said, is all musicians. They're all musicians.
They're
on that
all
side.
musicians on your
Literally,
dad's.
every single one of them is musicians. Yeah.
You know, it's kind of funny because they're not musicians, but I have in my family, I have a group that is like my mom and my dad and my stepmom and my sister. They all work in the cosmetology industry. They're my sister's an esthetician, my parents are hairdressers, my dad's a barber.
Oh,
So they all went that route. And then I have on the other side, four or five of my family members work for In-N-Out Burger.
No way.
Yeah,
That's
so it's
funny.
like it's weird how the family
Yeah.
they all kind of
They
did
kinda
the same thing.
Pick
you
up
know?
the business together, right?
Yeah.
It's like, and then there's us.
And then there's us, who, you know-
completely stray away and do different things. That's funny. No, that's how it always is, man.
Yeah. Yeah, we're the wild cards for sure.
Yep, definitely. But I think we chose pretty damn good routes, don't you think?
Yeah,
Yep.
I agree. So you grew up playing tennis. You went a little bit of a different path, and then so with your TP, then you went and got certified for being a TPI instructor.
Yep.
What got you? What got you to this point here? Because you said that you were at a clinic before, and now you're in this. You're in the city of Industry at this golf training facility that is beautiful. For those of you that are not able to see this through the podcast, this place is amazing. They have launch monitors. They have high performance shafts. They have a workout area. They have AstroTurf. This place is phenomenal. So you went from working in a clinic to this place, and I'm assuming you did that with your business partner.
Correct, yeah.
And what was that process like of going from nothing to something, and something that is so awesome?
Man, not gonna lie, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, no joke. It
Yeah.
was tough. I mean, we started literally our business from scratch. I mean, that is not easy to do, and it was tough, man. There was times, where you just feel like, you know what, I don't think it's gonna work, and you're just doubting it, but then, something happens and you end up picking up a big name client, out of nowhere. It's just kind of weird how it happens. Like, you just put it in God's hands and it just works, so it's just...
I love that you said that, because I've experienced that recently in more ways than one.
Yeah.
And I know exactly what you're talking about, and it's almost like once you make that decision that you're gonna do it no matter what, certain things start to fall into place, and it's stuff that's outside of your control.
Exactly.
And you're just like, whoa.
It's like, exactly. It's weird. I mean, quick story. I mean, when we went from the Arcadia location being a small little niche thing, a program, and then I was still working as a physical therapist at the time too, at that clinic, putting in 40-hour weeks.
Yep.
And then doing also on top of that extra training, more and more clients that I pick up. Went from that to pulling back part-time there to moving to a location in Diamond Bar to do golf-specific training and more PT over there for one of my friends that I knew over there who needed help at a clinic. So I was putting in, 80+ hour, 90-hour weeks, man. It was no joke, and this was for a good solid 2 years of doing that. And I just got to the point where I said, like, I told my wife, I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, I feel like we're kind of stuck right now. Like, I'm so busy with stuff, but it's not the right stuff of that's gonna cater me. Exactly, it's juggling, man.
Too many plates.
Oh, way too many, man. And they were gonna fall pretty soon. I mean, my mind was just going crazy with it, and like we got to the point where I told her, I was like, look, I either jump now and I just go for it, or I just back off and just go back to doing physical therapy work. Like, I can't do both anymore. There's no way. She said, jump. And that was it, man. Like, I jumped, I said a prayer that night, dude, no joke, and like all of a sudden the next day, once I put in my notice and said, you know what, I'm done, and once that 2 weeks was up, and I was like, okay, this is it, like, what do I do now?
Right.
Like, when that happened, I had 4 phone calls the next day of new clients that wanted to schedule in. It was like a sign, It was a crazy sign that just came through, and at that point, I knew it was going to be okay. I was like, okay, we'll be fine. It's gonna keep rolling like this. It's gonna keep rolling, and it has, man. So it's cool. So we've come a long way from working with just amateur golfers to the professional industry now, and we're still expanding, man. We're still going. So it's fun.
So when you got into this place, was this place just like an empty shell that you guys built out?
So I met, actually, it's kind of funny, when I was, remember I was telling you I was over in a Diamond Bar location, so I was doing training over there, mostly full-time for Fore Fitness, so it was a sublease location we were using.
Okay.
And then I came across a gentleman who I was training his daughter, actually, and his name's Kevin Kim. He's the owner of CA Golf, so he's the owner of the club fitting side of things, basically.
Okay.
And he also has an online store that he sells equipment on as well. So I met him, and he's like, Josh, you got to come to my place. And I was like, why? Like, I didn't go. I was like, it was just kind of weird, I was like, why? He's kind of a kooky dude. It's funny. But so it's like, I don't know, man. So 6 months later, he finally convinces me to come in. I'm still training a bunch of people over there. And I come into this location and walk in, and it's just empty out here. I mean, nothing was in here yet. It was just turf. And I was like, I looked at it, I was like, this is the place. This is the place. But I didn't want to seem too excited, you know, because. But I walked out. I called my partner right away. I was like, we have a place. This is it. You have to see this. But don't be too excited, man. We have to be low-key on this.
Don't show your cards.
Yeah. We can't show our cards yet. So sure enough, we've kind of partnered up with CA Golf and Fore Fitness collabs together for the training side of things and rehab. And yeah, we have a one-stop shop now together. So
Is Fore Fitness your creation?
correct. Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you came up with the logo, you came up with the idea.
Actually, I can't take credit for the logo. I'll give credit to my good friend Johnny Randall, who is basically a kindergarten friend to me, man. But he's a graphic designer.
Okay.
So I hit him up with the idea. I was like, this is the name of the company. This is what we're rolling with, and he came up with the logo, man. It's stuck, man. It's a great logo. It's sharp and
it is sharp. I like it a lot.
People remember it. So that's what we needed.
Yeah, and I like how you did the FF together, and it really it goes well together.
Yeah.
And is there like a hidden meaning behind Fore Fitness? Is there something going on there? I don't want to overlook anything. Or is it for as in like what's the meaning behind that?
So yeah, man, good question. We're gonna dig it deep here, man. So obviously fore is like the customary thing that people yell in golf, right? When when there's an irate shot coming your way, and that's what people like think about when they think about it. I wanted something loud. So I wanted when you yell fore, you yell it loud, right? So
right.
I wanted to be something that was loud, proud, and something that we can develop to be something big, and that was my vision originally. I don't have anything deeper, unfortunately.
No,
but that was my thinking. I was like, okay, we need something that's going to be very catchy and very poppy, and fore is kind of the thing that's big in golf, that's loud in golf. So
I love it. It really it looks great on all of your merchandise. You've got thank you for my hat.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I love it.
Thank you for my shirt.
Absolutely. I have it in the car for you. But yeah, I love the way that it looks on your apparel.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever's doing your apparel is doing a good job.
Yeah, no, yeah.
So yeah, it looks clean. I really like it.
Thank you, yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so you go into this phase where all of these things start happening.
Mm-hmm.
And some of it is in your control, some of it's outside of your control. What happens when obviously you had to put a plan together in order to make this thing come together? And then I'm sure you ran into a few hiccups there, through that process. Can you share some of those hiccups and some hoops that you might have had to jump through in order to get here?
Absolutely, yeah, no, for sure. So obviously, being the new guy in the streets, there's with TPI, they really emphasize the team structure. So we also believe that too. I mean, you have a player, right, as the center. You have your swing coach. You have, your trainer, and then you have your rehab specialist. So we kind of cover both those spectrums together, my partner and I. But also, the big thing is getting coaches to trust you with their players, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if the player trusts you, great. But if you can't get on the coach's corner, game over, man. So they're never going to believe in what you're trying to do with their players. So I would say some of the hiccups you definitely come across is, the relationships that you have to develop with people, and the relationships that you have to try to establish with swing coaches and get them to understand that what you're doing for their player is something that's going to complement what they do as a coach as well. So I think that was probably the hardest part, being a new trainer out there, was definitely that side of things, and establishing relationships, getting your name out there and just, getting them to believe you and what you do. So I had one coach in particular, I won't say names, but
yeah,
one coach in particular, he was stubborn, man. It was, older guy, he was stubborn, but or we're good friends now, but he would not. I sent him an email, and basically I got an email back that said no thanks.
Wow.
Yeah, you know, but I sent out this really nice email like, hey, my name's Josh. I just wanted to introduce myself. Like, if I can come watch one of your lessons one time, you know, just to get you know, this is what I do. Straight up, no thanks. Nothing more than that, man. So a year later, I ended up working with one of his clients. Not referred by him. It was just someone that I worked with one of the local high school teams here in Walnut, and she ended up being on the team, and he noticed like, what's going on? Like, Catherine, why your distance is going up, and like, what have you been doing? And she's like, oh, I'm going to see Josh. He was like, Josh, that name sounds familiar. And she was like, and she kept bugging him, like, yeah, Josh is like, he's a really good trainer, and he's been working with me for, you know, 8 months now, and we're picking up some distance, and she was happy, you know, she was really happy. And then he came in like a year later after that email, and he's like, you know what, I gotta apologize to you. And I was like, why? He's like, I was wrong.
Wow.
I was wrong about you. So
You know, that right there to me, I mean, sometimes I feel like a little bit of a broken record on this podcast, but that right there just proves how important fitness is in golf. Right there. That if you could just summarize everything of what we're talking about here, I mean, that type of story just is amazing to me.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's when we first opened the business, golf fitness was still very, very fresh and new.
Yeah.
And we started this about 5.5, almost 6 years now, and we were barely scratching the surface, and it's crazy to see how far it's come along now.
Mm-hmm.
In these last like 5.5, 6 years, it's like now it's like a staple in every player's program. You know, a good solid player. I mean, they don't do golf without fitness anymore, and they're starting at an age that's younger and younger every time. And it's like our youngest client is like 8 years old.
Wow.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah, that's amazing, because that's not just going to help their golf game. That's going to keep them from, having health issues down the road. Yeah, that's
Dude, it's
so
big.
powerful.
I mean, it's so big. I mean, just keeping them athletic, you know, and that's always been our principle, especially with obviously the younger kids. You can't lift super heavy weights, but you know, the key is making them an athlete first, and parents too, man. Like, educating the parents, that's huge, because a lot of them are like, they see, you know, all these big name players, and they're like, oh, he's got to play golf and he's got to practice 10 hours a day. That's it. But you and I both know it's like that's going to lead to some serious problems down the road, you know? It's like,
yep.
You get
Deterioration,
you get muscle imbalance issues, all of a sudden you get back issues starting to come up, and, you know, I got a call from a parent the other day for a potential new client, like low back pain already, 11 years old. It's like, why? Like, she's obviously doing something incorrectly, you know? Like, so when we train our athletes, we always go take the approach athlete first, golfer second. And that's been our approach since day one. Just making sure that these kids, you know, are moving and functioning like children should be functioning first, and then turning them into golfers later, because by the time they get into that crossover where they're getting into, you know, playing more competitively, they're better athletes, and it's gonna make them better golfers, hands down.
Yeah, I was listening to, I like that you say that. I was listening to a podcast the other day. It was a golf podcast, oh, that's what it was. It was. Are you familiar with me and my golf?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I was listening to a podcast that they did with one of the top trainers, and he had mentioned that a lot of these professionals now have steered away from the old methodology that you're going to hit 3 large buckets on the range every day.
Mm-hmm.
And what they're doing is they're practicing smarter.
Mm-hmm.
They're practicing less,
Mm-hmm.
and they're taking the time to look at other aspects of their games to really see dramatic improvement, more so in rehab, mindset, nutrition, all these other factors.
Yeah.
Are you seeing that as well?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So like, I
Big
mean,
time.
I know you have to hit balls. Like, you don't become an Olympic archery
No, of course
person without throwing 1,000, thousands of arrows down the
not.
field.
Of course.
So I know there's a certain point, but
Mhm.
do you think that it's significantly less? Would you say it's like a half, a quarter of what people used to do?
I would say it's getting there, but it's still, you still have certain cultures that believe that they need to be hitting thousands of balls, at least 800 balls a day, which is, crazy. But I do believe that we're starting to kind of see that taper a little bit when they work with the right coaches. Coaches have to be very diligent at educating these parents and making sure that the parents aren't going to get in the way of their own kids' health.
Mm-hmm.
That comes first, right? I mean, we want the kids to be healthy, otherwise they're not going to, and plus the enjoyment of the game. Like, who really enjoys hitting 800 balls a day, or who's going to be like that mindful, to be able to do that, like that's the thing too, is like, it's got to be purposeful practice, and it has to be, just every shot has to be with a purpose.
Yeah.
Like, if you can't do that, then step away because you're not doing it correctly anyways, right?
Yeah, your head's not in it.
Your head's not in it. Yeah. It's the same thing with tennis too, man. It's like my dad would be at the net feeding me balls over and over and over again. I would tell him, like, I need to stop for a second. Like, I'm not in it right now. You start making mistakes, and you start, changing your form, and you and I both know golf is like way more detail oriented than even tennis is, and like, if one bad position can lead to mechanical issues down the road. So it's like it has to be mindful, it has to be purposeful, and I always tell my students that, man. It's like, if you're practicing 8 hours a day, you're doing it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And
So what would you recommend for somebody, for somebody that's listening right now,
Mhm.
who may be driving in their car on their way to work, and they're like, man, I really just need to get into the gym and get stronger so I can hit the ball better.